Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 33 of the SATO Briefing series. And this will be the last update on the CeraSim Bell 412 and 212 project. It's been a long time coming. It's been several months of working on both aircraft to get them to the state they're currently in, which right now, as of this video, in early February of 2026, they are in beta testing. So we're really close to hopefully getting these out soon to everybody. And today, really, this episode is going to be kind of just going over the features that are coming with these and kind of going over the basic things and how to get some of the new additions to work um, with the stock setup of the aircraft. So a lot of these extra items that were added to the aircraft were done so in a way that made it so that you could still use the CeraSim exit control menus, to open the doors, things like that, and emergency exits, and using the controls in the interior and stuff like that. Because one of my agreements with CeraSim was I can't modify the interior model so that it protects their overall product, meaning that you have to purchase the aircraft in order for this expansion pack to work. So that's this is like one of all my other aircraft that I've done for the payware stuff, like the Sky Crane and the Firehawk, which is another CeraSim mod. Um, the like I said, the panels and everything are stock. So some of these models, the exterior models for the 412, for example, I have the EPX on here, uh, which is in front of me here, the external model, but the interior still is the traditional EP model, the earlier version with the mostly analog cockpits. So the EPXs nowadays are pretty much all digital cockpits. That wasn't done for these. These are all the traditional analog uh, cockpits. But like I said, there's a lot of these extra features were added so that all that stuff still works. So one of the first things we'll kind of go over um, that's different about this helicopter versus the stock aircraft. One of the things I did is I overhauled the rotors on the Bell 412s. The 212s are pretty much stock in that rotor department. They didn't need as much of a tweak as the 412s did. 412s, I've added rotor droop. As you can see here, they're not straight out when the engines are shut down. So that was one addition, one major addition. Also, with this model and several other models of the 212 and the 412 have this bubble window. So that was also added to these. Um, the aircraft, a lot of these aircrafts also have FLIR pods, FLIR cameras. So that was added to them. A lot of them have a searchlight. However, the searchlight, I left it inoperative. There may be a mod in the future that I might add that makes them functional, but for right now, they are just cosmetic. Um, the other thing I've added to this is the rescue hoist. There are several models of both helicopters that have a rescue hoist. This hoist is also functional, which I will go over how to use in this video as well as the snorkel here. As you can see, a lot of these models, these firefighting models in the past have come that I've tried to do. They don't integrate the best with Firefighter X. This one is one that will come and be completely compatible with Firefighter X from the get-go. So this is the stowable snorkel on these aircraft is controlled through the lighting panel in here. Again, I'll show you how that works in here, but currently in the off configuration, the snorkels are all stowed. So they're tied to the landing light switch, which on these is largely kind of inoperative for the most part. Flipping the switch down will deploy the snorkels down. And that's on both the 212 and the 412. Now on the aircraft that do not have the belly tank, they'll have an equipment box here on this right-hand side. This is on both the 212 and the 412. Switching that switch on and off will display equipment inside this box. So this equipment box will sit outside here, and we'll have firefighting equipment inside it. When it's flipped on, flipped off, it's empty. So that's kind of just an added bonus for that. Moving on back to the back of the helicopter, the stock tail is modified to represent the modern 412 look with the BLR fast fin mod done. Some of the 412s have that mod in this pack, and some of them don't, but I would say the majority of them do. As well as this is a high skid conversion model, so the stock version is a low skid on the 212 and the 412. So a lot of these on the 412 are pretty much all high skid versions. There are some low skid ones I added, but most of them are high skid versions. The 212, like I said, has high skid and low skid extended versions. That's pretty much it in terms of the external features. Other things you may see are just small equipment additions like mirrors here, speakers. One of the other major lighting differences was that I added pulse lights to these, unique to the specific versions that have the lighting on them, which again I'll show in this video. So it'll be one of the first things that I show. Some aircraft do have this pulse lighting setup, and other aircraft don't. Most notably, they all have this similar setup. The early EP 412s have alternating lights on the LA County versions, which are kind of similar to those seen on the UH1s. The EPs that LA County uses are older, so their setups are different than some of the EPXs, for example, like this one is here. So I'll go ahead and get into the cockpit, and we'll kind of go over some of the differences, or some of how to operate some of this stuff. Okay, so down here on the collective, the landing light switch here, if you switch it on, this will deploy the snorkel. You can't see it right now fully, but you can see that it's down. Obviously when you're in the air, you won't be able to see it. You'll see it completely down, but go back inside, switch it off, and it'll be in the stowed configuration here. See, as you can see. So that is that. That's how you operate the snorkel, and again, that's completely compatible in Firefighter X. Now, the external lighting. So the pulse lights are controlled by this anti-collision light here. So if you switch it on and go to the front, we'll see the alternating pulse lights for the 412s and the 212s. They have this set up in the front. They have this very fast alternating pattern. Like I said, they're controlled by the anti-collision lights. So if you don't want the pulse lights on, granted, most of the time they fly with them on like this. So that's how the pulse lights work on these. Go ahead and switch these off. And the other thing we need to look at is the hoist. Now, the hoist is interesting because if you're not aware, P3D comes with a built-in hoist system built into the game or the sim itself. So in order to use that, you'll need to open up your CeraSim exit menu here. You'll need to open your door, the side door that you'll be using for the rescue hoist operations. Now, in the menu here, you'll need to, if you want to, you'll have to set up your own controls for this, but you can use the stock controls, and I'll show you here. Just type in hoist, and you'll see the keys to operate the hoist. So in order to raise and lower the hoist, there are these keys. In order to use the hoist, this turns the power on and activates the hoist by using this. So in order to use the hoist, first you have to power it on, and that you do that by hitting that button, or this, whatever your assigned stock button is. I don't remember what it is offhand. And then raising and lowering, and then whenever you get the hoist or the sling down to the position you want it at, you will hit the this button here will attach a rescue the person you're trying to rescue on the hoist. It'll attach as long as it's within a certain distance of the hook. And that's all controlled in the sling menu in the aircraft CFG file. I won't go into doing that. I'm just basically showing how that will function. So that's how you would use the hoist in this. So since we are, since we're here, let's see if we can get this. I've hit the switch. And you'll know whenever you're ready to deploy the sling. Oh, I'm sorry, the aircraft power has to be on, I believe, for the sling to work. So whenever you have the sling powered on and you hit the J key for me, or your hoist lower key, it will the hoist will come down, and you hit J and it'll lower the you'll lower the hoist, and then you hit the button again and it'll stop, uh, and the other buttons will raise and lower. So in order to use the FLIR camera, it's attached to all of the helicopters have it attached to them in the view uh, setup, which I've also added here. As you can see, this here is the hoist down view I've added. So here is the FLIR camera view. Now, this kind of gets to a lot of people because you don't know how to use the FLIR camera because it doesn't use standard controls. So in the controls menu, we'll kind of go in and kind of show a basic. So an easy way to find this is controllable camera. And these controls here for the camera are for like your just the basic switches you could uh, um, assign it to, um, like the zoom and things like that. The act the camera, so up and down, left and right. That's all controlled through that menu or that particular controller. So um, yeah, as you can see here. The other thing this camera also has is a slewable lock position, so you can lock onto ground targets for while you're flying around. Say you're in orbit or something like that, you can select the spot on the ground, and the camera will at like this will actually lock to a spot on the ground. Will give you coordinates, and I don't know how accurate those are, but it will be able to give you the ability to lock onto ground targets for rescue operations, which is kind of neat. So that's interesting. So um, we'll kind of look at some of the other objects in here in the interior. For, like I said, the exit control menu, a lot of that stuff was untouched to allow you to use all the exterior controls. So we'll kind of go back into that and we'll kind of just show you that all this still works. So you get like the flags for the flags for the pitot tubes up front work. Pretty much everything in here works. All the exits you can remove the doors for the pilots and stuff. I'll show you that in a second. The doors all slide. Like here, you can remove the interior seats. Um, Basically, you can configure it how you could in the stock CeraSim aircraft. I wanted to make sure all that stayed the same. So it's like that in the 212 as well. We'll go inside here and I'll talk about the interior doors. So, like I said, the bubble window on this was not modeled for the interior, for that, like I said earlier. Um, so we'll go ahead and remove this door. And yeah, see it's gone. And we'll go to the exterior and I'll see that this is also gone. Oops. And see it's no longer there. I mean, you can also do this with other aircraft that also have a no door configuration you're maybe flying. You can do that too. Just hit the emergency release for the door and it disappears. Um, we'll get back in the cockpit and I'll put it back on. Go ahead and go over here, click it back. There it is, back on there, and it's back on the outside, as you can see, good as new. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much the overview of the features of the Bell 212 and the 412s. So yeah, thanks for watching, and tune into the next one.